It's been a while.
Yeah.
So
Well, I actually filled in for your first week, and I don't remember if I filled in the last week or
uh,
not.
I
But
appreciate it. First week, my grandson had a football season starting, and he's so they had their pre kickoffs of the season, and so I got to go and have fun with him. It was wonderful.
oh, that's cool.
So I mean, lots have been happening. You were talking about Maxwell a while ago. I noticed, and it the whole thing you were talking about when she's, her being an agent and everything. It reminds me of y'all. You remember? I think it was in 2018 or 19 when they had the deposition from Virginia dropped. And
Mm-hmm.
I I read her what she called it a memoir, but I read her little booklet, and one of the things it's always stuck with me, and I've said it before, is Virginia had asked uh, Maxwell and asked her if it. She said, uh, she goes, "Doesn't it bother you with Epstein with these other girls?" And the response was, as long as it wasn't me. So I always had the take that, the pictures and everything, that was just a front from whatever they were really doing. But that's how I looked at it.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, I mean, Maxwell's she's sly little vixen, or however you want to put that. I mean, you read like everything she will. Only things she verifies are things that other people witnessed. Like she's very well studied on what's come out in court cases, what there's pictures of. And then anything that's not documented in that way, she seems to just forget, she doesn't know, or she appears to make up excuses that seem preposterous, but since there's no way to disprove it, there's really nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and the other thing is, she also, what she said about President Trump not seeing anything. She also, to throw doubt on President Trump's role. She even said the same thing about Clinton, from what I understand and what I've seen. I didn't read them. I'm just going by what other people were saying. And she said the same thing about Clinton. She didn't see him doing anything wrong either. So who knows? Like you said, that's her training. If she's part of uh, the SPY network, that's part of the training. It's like they always said, once a spook, always a spook.
Right. I mean, it's always bothered me in a way. Um, at some point here, I'm going to reread the drops on Epstein because it's always bothered me that as much as she may or may not say things, we were told so many things that may or may not be true, but it all relates to the sex operation, the girls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just, if you're to assume, and we do, that the Epstein thing is closely tied, at least in America, to the Clinton Global Initiative and the Clinton operation, shakedown, blackmail operation, and whatever else. Um, I just never can get away from the fact that the Clintons got away with what they got away with when Bill Clinton was in the White House. The Congress was doing a genuine investigation of them, and somehow they got to, was it Ken Starr, who was the special prosecutor, and it suddenly changed into Lewinsky, which ironically supposedly leaked by who? Drudge Report on this fledgling brand new thing nobody ever heard of, the internet. And once the wheels turned to the whole Lewinsky thing, which some people say she is an Israeli intelligence agent who was sent in there as an intern. And I have no idea if that's true either, but she seems to have never worked a day of her life and, you know, somehow's a living large. But um in other words, my point here is that the Clinton model is just like it's in the Q post, these executives that step down from their CEO positions in these corporations and stuff, they always cover the real crime with a sex crime because they know that the public sex sells, I guess would be how you'd say it. And it's like shiny little objects, and we get all excited about how these people are all allegedly, sex perverts, pedophiles, can't keep their zipper up type people, when in reality, maybe some of it, a lot of it, some percentage of it is following the Clinton model of covering up money laundering, asset stealing from poor countries in the former Soviet Union, other kinds of human trafficking, actual labor slaves, sex slaves, and stuff, with, improprietary, improper workplace activity and this and that, like how much of it's real and how much of it is cover up by making it be something sexual, because it's taking something from a certain kind of crime that's kind of boring because it's a lot of financial transactions and stuff into something salacious that people just yum 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 eat up the salacious stuff and move on. And so, if anyone were to ask me, oh, well, Q's a LARP, the only thing that I can think of that's LARPy about Q is Epstein. It's possible. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just saying that in a debate club, I'd be like, the only thing about the Q post that I question is all where did they get the salacious details about Epstein? Like, how did whoever did Q know all that stuff? And where did those pictures come from? So, anyway, it's just an interesting thing. Like, even like Virginia Guffrey, she came up with two gigantic estates in Australia. And again, I'm not disparaging her, but I'm just saying that, like, at what point do you start embellishing it to get another check? And did that even happen? I have no way of proving either way. I don't know if she was a good person, a bad person. I just know what I was told that I should think. So I don't know. The whole Epstein thing bugs me.
Yeah. Well, what? I mean, you gotta look somewhere, right? I mean, well, okay. Remind me again. Wasn't Bill Clinton getting ready to be and not just impeached but indicted, for Whitewater too at the time, right before Lewinsky?
Right. It was financial crimes.
Yeah.
Plus they were starting to edge into the like China Gate, because that's, the Clintons are the ones that started selling us to China. So they've been talking about like surface stuff that pissed people off, like that, yeah, if you wrote a big enough check, you could sleep in the Lincoln bedroom,
Yeah, I saw that.
into the Whitewater, grifting off. They were, Whitewater basically was, if I remember right, they were selling real estate to retirees and then doing like reverse mortgages or something where they're just fleecing these retirees. And then when they got the house back, it like they got all of the money out of the house from the person who died, and they could resell it and do it again. Like the whole dollar amount, not just however much was paid back before the person died. I can't remember, but it's something like that. It's a grift on retirees in a retirement area. And they got away with it by just doing the Monica Lewinsky, the girl
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
beret, and then just go with a cigar and a dress. Did those things ever actually happen? I don't know.
Yeah. It definitely is. It's look over here, not over there. I actually got to do a tour of the White House with the Secret Service agent under Clinton in 1994, and of course this was before Lewinsky. And I just know the impression I got from the agent is he didn't like the Clintons. Just little things he would say. One of the things he mentioned about the Clintons is under Bush 41, all the offices were staffed. It was pretty much a place that was well run with lots of people. Once the Clintons got in, they basically, uh, emptied out all the offices. So is it because they were hiding things and keeping the secret? I don't know, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. And supposedly he was like, "Oh, we can't go into the Oval Office because the Clintons, at least Bill Clinton, was in there." So we weren't able to tour the Oval Office, but we got to tour some of, like, the press room and things like that. So it was an interesting education, and it was interesting at the time. But I didn't vote for him, so I didn't care. But it just it'd be nice just to finally get them exposed for who they are after all these years, and the people that worship Hillary Clinton because she's female. Be glad.
Right. I mean, it's just got to end. I don't know. You know, Bill Clinton. I saw a video that supposedly was recent. He seemed pretty frail. Walking. Kind of starting to get the Biden shuffle going. And but Hillary, I don't. I mean, do you ever even really see her? And I believe with her the body double story. I mean, it's
Oh, I did too.
you don't even know really who you're looking at with her.
Yeah.
She's just evil. I was went down the rabbit hole because Trump was in Alaska.
Uh-huh.
I was going back down the Hillary in Alaska rabbit hole. And I was looking, supposedly she went up there to make money because they would pay college students to work in the fish cannery. And you would like scrape the guts out of the fish before they can't put them in, can them. And no one found a record of that. They did find a record. She did work for a short period of time at a hotel or like a resort kind of thing, doing washing dishes and stuff like that. But then the rest of the time, she's totally unaccounted for. And the friend she went with mysteriously died when they got back to the continental U.S. before she married Bill Clinton. And I still, for the life of me, wonder if they crossed over into Russia or if there's some, there's a lot of spooky stuff, CIA and whatever kind of stuff up there because it's our closest point to Russia. If she was up there for some kind of intel training or what
Mm-hmm.
that's about, but it is freaking weird. Why would a rich kid with conservative parents, supposedly, from a very wealthy suburb of Chicago, go up and work at a fish cannery? That makes no sense whatsoever to me.
No. Well, yeah. Well, there's two interesting. And remember, she was kicked off the Watergate uh, committee for ethics violations. And I recently heard. I don't know if you've heard this, but again, it's allegedly. So apparently, there's a connection with Kavanaugh working for Ken Starr back in the day. So, you
Huh.
know, that's what I heard recently. I don't remember if it was Steve Bannon and someone else or somewhere else, but I think it was on Steve Bannon. Someone was saying that, uh, yeah, that Kavanaugh worked with Ken Starr back then. Isn't it
Right.
funny? Isn't it funny how a lot of things just seem to uh, go back to the Clintons and the Bushes?
Right. Well, so does there's because the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing was out there. Tucker Carlson had a author on and other people who've doubled down on the whole narrative, and it's clear Oklahoma City was something else. But skipping past that whole aspect of it, I went back and found the newspaper articles. Merrick Garland was referenced as the only prosecutor who had the clearance to handle evidence in that case.
Hmm.
And that was the Clintons' 90s white supremacists. What was that thing called? Patriot Com or whatever. Uh, PatCon operation to take down all of the so called white militias and that and scare everyone about white people. And just really it's kind of the start of so much that's just snowballed to where we are now with the so-called race war. And Merrick Garland was the guy in charge of all those PatCon cases, but most notably the Oklahoma City bombing. And I mean, it's right. I mean, very oddly and specifically stated that he is the only person handling the evidence. Like, why would you put that in an article to begin with?
Right.
And they brought him back under Biden
Mm-hmm.
to go after the traditional Catholics. I mean, it was just like the 90s all over again, just a different version of it. So they just keep running these plays with these same people.
Yeah, it's like it. Yeah, after a while you get see the pattern. Well, my brother-in-law, he was in the military under Clinton. In '98, he ended up in Bosnia. He ended up in Bosnia, so he was part of that Bosnia Kosovo um, campaign, I guess you could call it. I didn't really pay attention to politics and what was going on. I would usually ask my sister, okay, because with my brother in law being in the military and everything, I would say, well, what do you think about this? And, like with Osama bin Laden and all that. And, because I figured she would, because he's there, I figured they would have more information than what is being said in the public. So it's, I don't know. I think that it's really exciting. I mean, think about everything that's happened in the last few weeks. You got that whole Russia, Zelensky, Putin, President Trump. I wonder if that whole narrative is finally going to be resolved.
I don't know. I don't know if you're listening. I've been looking at Russian media like TASS and Sputnik and RT very, very closely. And there is something going on, man. There really is, where the Russians really seem to be signaling that Trump's gonna bring them, dump Europe and go with Russia, I guess would be the most extreme version of sort of the vibe that they're putting out there. And to make Putin stop taking over Europe or whatever he ultimately could do, because the Germans won't put anyone on the boots on the ground. The French won't do it. Definitely the English aren't going to get involved, even though they huff and puff and want to make money off it. I mean, Europe is barely functioning. Every country's on the verge of a revolution. The
That's
last thing that they're going to get away with is taking young men to go fight on the plains of Ukraine after the history that Europe already knows about what happens there.
yeah.
I just
Well,
don't see it happening unless Putin were to like bomb London, for example. Then you
mm-hmm.
might get people all, they'd have to do some major uh, false flags or whatever, or those sort of things would happen to excite the Europeans to get over their domestic issues and want to get involved in fighting in Ukraine.
I don't think they can at this point because they're losing their freedom so fast. From if you watch all the news and the narratives going out, they're losing their freedom so fast that they really can't afford to go and fight another country's war. So they are basically going down in flames. So it's kind of like if certain people don't get their act together here in the United States, we're not careful, we're going to be going down in flames.
So the symbol, it's so to me, and I'm a simple person. I don't watch the Heroes channel and know all about war theory, war games. I don't know any of that. But this is to
Right.
me my simplistic observation based on what I see in the media and just generally everything we've learned, as a movement, that nothing could stop Putin from, taking more than the disputed areas, maybe really getting pretty far into Europe. Germany is on the verge of I don't know what. Now they're acknowledging Sharia law there in court and all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So really, I mean, the entirety of Europe is in what I call the caliphate. I realize that's really kind of an inflammatory thing to say, but I don't know how else to describe it in one word. And Putin knows what that's all about because um, well, history and what happened in Ukraine and just the whole region and the through the medieval period. And so Putin played a long game here where pretty much your options are you either respect Russia and make them part of your world, or you respect Russia and make it part of your world. That's sort of your options because nobody's going to go there and fight. So you have to make him lay down his weapons. And every kind of, I just showed you like UK's doing the flag thing, and
Mm-hmm.
Russia makes a video about the Russian flag. I mean, it's almost like kids on a playground, and then there's one little kid on the edge of the playground, kicking up the dust, going, "Oh, gee, guys, can I play with you?" You know what I mean? It's like, what is happening here? It's like, I don't even understand this propaganda. I did like, am I supposed to believe that your feelings are so hurt you have to join in on everything? When it's like, we're just in a spot where pretty much Russia gets to call the shots no matter how you look at it. The only stop on that would be killing the pipelines and killing all means of wealth for Russia is the only other way to grind that machine to a stop, to somehow cut the money off entirely, which is why Ukraine tried to blow up their other pipeline 3 times this week. Which, of course, when we say Ukraine tried to blow up the pipeline, probably that's happening on a NATO or a base in Germany. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? But it could be Ukraine just, they're trying to agitate Trump to make more of a commitment. They want the US to go fight there with our army.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not going to happen unless something. I mean, I hope to God they don't have Ukrainian suitcase nukes that they used to talk about in the 90s. Oh, all that uranium from Ukraine is missing. And it probably is. It's probably uranium one, some people say. All that Ukrainian uranium is in suitcases all around the US, and one day they're going to open the suitcases and whole cities are going to get really sick and die. That'd be about what would have to happen to get the US to run and sign up and go fight in Ukraine like they did with 9/11. I mean, 9/11 was pretty extreme to get everyone to sign up.
Oh, well, remember that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get World War III started. They've been pushing that for since President Trump's first term, getting that, getting everybody involved, and I don't think it's going to work though. I think President Trump is pretty. I think and I think I can't help but wonder how much all of this that we see is all news. It's all a propaganda war. I mean, my thing is, unless your boots on the ground or you absolutely know somebody who's out there involved in all this, I don't know. I have a hard time. I guess because we've been lied to so much, and the lies are coming to the surface. I just don't believe everything I see or hear, and I question everything. I just
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I remember what triggered it, but I can't at the moment exactly remember what it was, but someone started a rumor that you guys are probably somebody out there knows, but my recollection is it was earlier in the week or maybe the week before that Putin gave Melania a jewelry, and then somebody doctored pictures and stuff, and they were trying to say that Melania is the daughter of the Tsarina Anastasia.
oh
I'm like, oh
my
my God. We're now this is like the National Enquirer Anastasia stuff again. Like you and I live with that for most of our lives,
right
every 10, 15 years a new Anastasia shows up.
right.
I'm like, why is all this weird propaganda stuff happening?
I saw that about the necklace, although I didn't really care. I mean, I didn't really catch anything about its significance. I ignore half of those things anyway, but I didn't hear the part about her being supposedly new the Alexandra, the Tsar. She's being a little bit too old for that. I mean, young, really. If she was Anastasia, that's crazy.
Right. Well, supposedly when they found all the graves, supposedly, and this also sounds sketchy to me, supposedly they were able to get DNA out of the teeth and all that, where they determined that all the bodies are indeed Romanovs, and that they accounted for every single one of them. But that sounds sketchy to me too. Um, but I mean, what? It's just so weird, all this stuff around her.
Mm-hmm.
And um I mean, anyone who's Slavic, they have kind of a look slightly, I'm half Slavic, that's slightly kind of like slitty eyes, they have this almond eyes, I guess they're called, a little bit of a exotic eye shape, and the dark blonde hair, dark blonde or light brown. I mean, the Slavic people all have a certain look. She looks incredibly Slavic. The Romanovs, were not originally were Slavic, although, they married into royalty and stuff. So, um, those girls also had blue eyes and the dark blonde hair or light brown. So, and the photographs from back then are pretty blurry. So if you take a blurry picture of Anastasia from 100 and however many years ago and put it next to her and just, find the right shot, of course she looks like the Romanovs. She's from the same region. And those pictures are so freaking blurry. Anybody, I could look like a Romanov.
Well,
You,
and then you add the
you
AI,
know?
and then you add the AI spin to it because I've seen all these. There's a on Facebook on social media. There's this history thing, and like they just put a. There was a. They had a little story about Butch Cat. Oh well, Sundance. The guy I can't remember his original name, but the guy that went by Sundance and Etta Pace, and the picture everybody was saying that's not their picture. This is a fake picture. This is AI, and I see so many things, and there'll be a blurb about a little story about something, and the pictures aren't even the right, you know. May not even be the clothing may not be right. The pictures don't have that grainy um, early 1900s grainy look. It's all
Right, they clean them
sharp.
up.
Yeah, it's all sharp. So it's like you can't. Yeah, you can't trust all of that. And I look at some of these little TikTok videos about people. Oh, they're getting arrested and things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, people, these are set up. These are set up scenarios. These are fake scenarios, and people buy into them because they think it's all real. And I'm like, oh, good grief! It's frustrating to see how everybody will buy, or everybody, any the people that will buy into everything you see. I I I think I've gotten smarter. That a couple of years ago I probably would have bought into a lot of stuff, but now I like I said, I don't believe if I believe less than half about what I see. You're gonna have to convince me you're telling me the truth. So it just
Right. I mean, it was bad, like when we were doing the Q thing, that, I mean, so many people still to this day believe that Q said, for example, that RFK Jr. is still alive. For example,
he never said that.
90% of the people think that that was a Q post. And there's other ones that are just literally, they were like a TikTok type video before TikTok that went around on Facebook or whatever. And now that's smeared all over research work, just like Hillary Clinton in the basement of a pizza parlor. That was never part of that research. It
Yeah.
it was and so that was back when videos were real, and photographs, if someone altered them, it was fairly easy to figure it out. I can't even imagine starting the research on some of these issues today, because everything is so much more weaponized. The paid influencers, the creepy intel agencies. I mean, Ezra Cohen just told you that there's a massive disinformation campaign going on from the Europeans right now. He's telling you.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we had a hard time back then trying to keep everyone on point and being like, no, that's not a Q post. And no, that actually never happened. And that was never even posted on 4chan or whatever it was. Remember, they said that there was this whole chat log from Patriots Soapbox in the Q post that Pam allegedly did this, that, and the other thing, and that was totally doctored.
Yeah.
And they doxed Pam and Radix over it. And that we thought was just crazy and bad. Now, like, there's no reality. It's like you just have to use your own logic and deductive thinking. And
Oh,
yeah, something needs to happen. I understand why Trump talks about how great AI is, and I kind of get it. Okay, China, whatever. AI needs to be labeled as AI.
right.
And people who create AI as art, it should just be art. And people who try to trick people with AI should be fraudsters. And fraudsters go to jail.
Yeah.
So I don't understand what's so hard about that. I love Trump, but at the same time, he does stuff that I just I wait and wait and wait to find something logical about it. And
Right.
a lot of times something does come up. We know that Trump's like that, but some of these things like AI, I really don't think he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah,
I
I think.
mean, he was asked, like, well, what happens when no one has a job, which I just opened my show with. He said, oh, it'll just naturally work out. No, I don't think that's how it's going to happen. It's not naturally going to work out.
Not.
It's going to be
Well,
blood in the
I
streets
mean, he
before it
really.
naturally works out. That's not how it's going to go down.
Yeah, he would have to have some information that is totally bizarre that nobody figures out. That that I mean, if it's going to just naturally work out, yeah. He either is getting really bad advice, or he knows something. He knows something interesting. I say interesting because everything to me is interesting, but he knows something that we don't know, that he's not revealing or something. Because yeah, I don't see. I'm like you. I don't like AI. Well, I've been screaming about AI since for the last, oh, what, 2 years at least, when I started listening. And because and I've shared this before, trying to find a job I can work from home. And one of the things they were talking about was AI. Get into AI. I'm like, are you kidding me? They want to take my voice patterns, put it on top of somebody's picture, and make it sound like me. Where is that a good idea?
Right. And Trump just approved that.
And
They were going to sue for artists to be able to keep their work. And the Trump administration said, no, you have no right to your own work. AI can take anything. It's like, this is the kind of stuff where I'm like, okay, like, did that just actually happen or what? I mean, there's a lot of things that people are freaking out about. Like right now, the thing people are freaking out about, and I get it, and I'm spending probably way too much time correcting this, is this whole story now about that Trump, the government, that would be us, the taxpayer, has now been given equity in the chip manufacturer Intel, the company
oh
Intel.
yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
I didn't read it.
Well, people who are proud, quote unquote, capitalists are infuriated. And what they don't know, and I am like wasting my life trying to inform people about, because I never know if this is just an anti Trump influencer thing where everyone said, "Oh yeah, talk about this. We'll give you $50 a post or whatever," or if it's a genuine concern. And I actually think it's genuine because, man, that hit my trigger button until I researched. The reason that Trump did that is because that shady guy tricked the Biden administration into giving him, oh, I just wrote it. It's an amazing amount of money, $7.8 billion, something like that. It's billions of that chip money, which is the CHIP Act, which was supposed to be Biden's version of keeping chip manufacturers here. And what was behind what I call what's wrong with Maricopa County, Arizona, to me, is that he kept that chip money until Trump lost the election, and then he gave them the money. To me, it was a bribe. And so the guy got the money, and then he says, "Oh, by the way, Intel's going bankrupt." How can you go bankrupt when you were just given billions of dollars of quote unquote free money from Biden? And that's why Trump jumped in to get equity from the company. He kind of has no choice, and Trump has a personality where if he finds out that someone like free rode on taxpayer dollars, I believe Trump goes into a total like breakdown where he's like, yeah, no, I'm not getting ripped off like that. I'm not going to let America get ripped off like that. And so he's taking equity in the company because probably the only equity they have is the cash that they were given by the government, which is our money.
Yeah.
And by the way, why we have such a massive national debt. So this is just another one of those things where I'm like, okay, it is paying off a little bit. Like I posted a post explaining that, I don't know, or this morning, I guess. And last I checked, I had, I don't know, 30 or 40 people read it. To me, that 30 or 40 people was worth my time because otherwise, Trump just looks like a communist who's, I guess, technically it would be a fascist who's taking control of the means of production, if you want to get textbooky about it.
Yeah.
So I understand why you're Republican type person, if they read a headline that says the government, Trump's government, is taking control of equity in Intel. What's the difference in between that and Obama when he took over GM? Remember that? And
Oh
then he
yeah.
went and closed any conservative whose family owned a GM dealership. He shut them down, and then he allowed dealerships owned by Democrats to stay open. And in my opinion, oh, by the way, any white vehicles like Oldsmobile, he shut down. So, which I liked Oldsmobile. It's one of the few GM cars I liked. Just me, I guess. But because it went out of business. But
Wait.
uh so I get the point. I do, I get it. I understand why there's never Trumpers. It's the communication style. If Trump should have taken, instead of talking about FIFA, what the freak is FIFA? I don't even know what that is. It's some kind of soccer game. Instead of talking about FIFA, let's talk about the chips money and explain why you took equity in Intel,
Right.
because everyone's freaking out about it.
Well, well, you think? Well, I think part of the reason why it cut probably because Obama did the same thing, and they're expecting Trump to do what Obama did. You know, it's
Well, they
kind of
want to point out the hypocrisy. That's what the point is in the news story. They're trying to make Trump look bad and say, well, he's as much of a communist as Obama was, or emperor, or whatever you want to call
the
it, communist emperor.
the king. Ah, yeah, the king is dead. But I don't know.
See, now everyone's talking about Oldsmobile. They don't care about the point, the point of the story at all
Well,
because Intel's really boring.
well that's like I was thinking about the different cars over the years. Like when I was growing up, and I mean, American made cars versus foreign made cars. Like like Oldsmobile and GM and Pontiac, and it's like I got to thinking what happened to all those. I don't You don't really hear about them anymore. I remember Chrysler when Chrysler got into was in financial straits and had to be bailed out, and I think that was back in the 80s. And then it became the car industry, automotive industry became such a, I think that was one of those things that was manipulated, where the reason why they started manufacturing in other countries is because that was part of the global plan to take down America. So
Right, I dated two gearheads in a row, high school and college. And one of them's best friends was just totally a Cutlass guy. And he had a pretty nice setup in his garage. And so typically every summer, so this would have been high school, maybe early college, he would he could fix a Cutlass up really fast. And he'd buy some Cutlasses, fix them up, and sell them, paint them, do everything. And so I used to go over there, believe it or not, and help him because I used to be pretty handy back in those days. And like he got a Cutlass, I won't remember. But it was like a super early Cutlass where they actually had a tachometer that was a digital tachometer, where the digital was like the black with the red glow, like your first digital alarm clock kind of look. It was like a digital tachometer on a gooseneck in the center, or like the hump where the drive shaft is. And that was like his prize Cutlass because it was like a very limited edition. And I don't even remember. They had the Cutlasses, the ones that had were they SS? I can't remember. But there were ones that had some pretty good horsepower, and for being like kind of an old man car, those Oldsmobiles, they took off, man. They were good. And you never find cars like that anymore. And my mom and I were just talking about these electric cars. Um, in an old car, like if the power went out, there's somebody like somehow magically crashed through this brick pillar into somebody's yard. And I'm like, how on earth could you possibly jump the curb and crash like that? I'm like, well, either they're really drunk or they're, I'm like, if you're in an electric car, okay, and you're, let's say, for whatever reason, the equivalent of like your alternator going out happened and you lost all electric power in an electric car. Since everything in there is hydraulic, servo driven, how do you steer your car off to the side of the road and not die? I have a lot of questions about new cars. I know in an old car, if the power died, and probably everyone had happened to them, especially with 70s cars that would die because of the whole like unleaded gas thing. You would lose your power steering and you'd have to really kind of put some elbow grease in it, but you could get that steering wheel turned. Even a little lady could do it and get off on the side of the road and not die, even though your car is dead as a doornail. You could get off the road.
Yeah.
I mean, do these new cars, like if the power dies, does that mean you have no steering and you just screaming with your hands up in the air and you're going to hit whatever's in front of you and you have no way to avoid it? I have no idea. I have literally no idea about how an electric car works.
Yeah.
I've never seen the schematics. I don't understand. I can assume how the electric motor works. And I can even visualize like how the gearbox would work and stuff, but how does the power steering work? What happens if your dashboard goes out in an electric car when it's all digital? Little, there's no little cable attached to the little arm.
Yeah.
I
Like,
just can't imagine having an electric car that's all electronic like that.
yeah, neither can I. I don't understand the appeal of an electric car other than people who just buy into the whole climate change thing. But that's like my I ended up with my grandmother when she passed away. Ended up with her '75 Buick, and then when it finally died and gave out, and I was looking for a car, I was wanting a sporty car, and I took my dad. My dad and I went together to look for cars, and I found this Fiaro, and my dad said, and I ended up with a Grand Am. I wanted a red car, so I ended up with the '98 Grand Am, and my dad said I was sweating there because if I didn't know how I was going to be able to do it, because my dad, he actually worked in a gas station when he was in college, and so he knew how to do simple things. He says these cars when that with the computerized electronics, he says I can't do that anymore. So he liked cars that he could actually do the things like the oil change and the tire rotation and change out the belts. So that's what he liked to do, and so like I said, like you said, I said I don't I don't get the whole appeal of electric cars. And the charging stations are just, they're so ugly. I'm sorry, they are ugly. I don't care where you put them and how many you put in a parking lot. They're so ugly.
Right, junk. Well, I drove for years cars that were stick shift with no power steering. So trust me, I was totally a car person.
Well,
And I totally love cars and I knew how to, you name it. I even rebuilt a carburetor once. So
nice.
I knew how to bleed brakes and change the brake pads and tune an engine, rebuild a carburetor. I'd done it all. I mean, with my boyfriends, I didn't do it on without someone looking over my shoulder, but I was totally into all that. And I don't know anything about these electric cars. And my mother and I were talking this morning about how if someone made a dumb car, maybe, you want, okay, fine, power windows and a decent radio, whatever, but just that had everything that everyone remembers, you know, Like you open the hood and you look in there and you know what the hell's going on, and that it's just predictable to fix where you can fix your own car, get the part, put it on, take it off, put the belts on, take the belts off. You don't need to plug into a computer or any of that crap. Just, give me a regular car. Let me look under it. I see the tie rod ends, all of that. I don't know how these electric cars work. I'm assuming it's all hydraulic, it's all hydraulic controlled, and I don't even know. I can't even imagine. So I
Yeah.
just want a regular car. That's all I want. I want a regular car that I can open the hood if I'm on the side of the road in an emergency and I can say, oh, there's the alternator and there's this or that. That you could teach high school kids, here, you open the hood. This is this. This is this. This is where you put the oil in. Um, because I don't know, man. Can you imagine? I just can't imagine putting the autopilot on and being okay with that. I'd be like so freaked out.
Well,
It's just my age, I guess.
don't forget they can be hijacked, and if it's computerized, it can be hijacked. It can be taken over. Someone can hack into it. So that's the other issue I have with it. But you talk about losing power. I actually was going. I was going to work. This was in the late '90s, early. Yeah, no, early '90s. Yeah, I was going into no late '80s, early '90s. It's around '88 or '89. I was going into work, and I was crossing over the Colorado River in Austin, and the drive shaft fell out. And you talk about I coasted. I had a coast
Oh yeah,
all
I
the
know somebody that happened to. Scary.
and we well, my dad had to come and pick me up, and it was after what? It was after 11 o'clock at night, and we had to go back. And thankfully, we were able to find the drive shaft, the U joint or something had rusted or something. And yeah, I mean, I had that car, that '75 Buick lasted to about what? About 15 years, I think. Let's see, I got it. Was it '89? I got the '88, '89, but I got it used. I got the Grand Am used, but yeah, it that was an experience to, all of a sudden I didn't even, I felt the thud. And I mean it was fortunate that it dropped from the back and not from the front, though, because I was able to coast. So that was a fun time.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as much as those old cars were pretty good, yeah, there was some bad years for the US auto industry. I think my first car was a 75 or 78 Monte Carlo with the split back window. And it was a tank. It was huge. But it was one of those cars that just didn't really segue into the unleaded gas world very well. That thing would run on. Sometimes I'd, turn the car off, go in the house, and I'd still hear it out there. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Remember that? Like,
Yes.
and the trunk, even though it was an older car, obviously I didn't get it in 1975. It was an old car. It was my first car, but um the car, we went through a lot, but we got the motor all running and everything great. But then the whole thing was just freaking rusting out. You could like put your foot through the floor at one point. I kept it quite a while. The whole back trunk rusted out, so we like just rigged it with a piece of carpet and some old license plates. Remember when people used to put old license plates over the holes on the floor in their car? And everyone just accepted it as being normal for a while there. But that was just really unacceptable of the US steel and the auto industry. It was completely unacceptable. So when the Japanese cars came along and everyone started buying them and stuff, in reality, they actually deserved that because they were producing crap And they weren't always producing crap.
No.
And you can tell because cars from before, from eras before, a lot of them still survive and were never actually rehabbed. Maybe a new paint job, but the body and the frame lasted. And you hardly ever see something like a 75 Monte Carlo because they're just piles of rust somewhere. And so they kind of actually deserved it. That's just my opinion of dealing with cars back then.
My dad had his first brand new car when we were kids was a Pontiac, and that thing lasted. He had over 2 million miles. That thing turned over like twice before he finally, because my dad would not. Oh, he, my dad could be a little bit tight with money. He was very thrifty, and he finally broke down and let's see. He finally broke down and got the remember the Chrysler K cars. He got it with just the bare didn't have anything
Those were
extra.
terrible.
He got the
They would like rust 1 year after you bought it around the trim and stuff.
well I yeah, but we used it. I mean it was a stick shift too. That's kind of how my sister. I could never. I'm not coordinated enough for stick. I My sister would she would go out and practice, but I just she would that's how we learned. And I uh one of my I hit a telephone I hit a fence post because I it was going too fast in it, and hit some cleachy. And in the we were in the country, and we so yeah, those were the days, the good old days.
Right, you missed it. I started my show. Have you ever seen any of those the 80s want you back videos? I
mm,
just cry when I listen to those. I look at them, I just start crying. I can't help it because I want to go back so bad.
yeah, wouldn't it be nice? I mean, I'm seeing well what I'm seeing is like I they're sending picture, in Facebook. There's these people putting out these old pictures of different parts of different towns like Austin, and I mean I look at it, it's like it's not like that anymore. The how the It was wide open spaces, if and it's the comparison pictures, and you look at the different cars, but it's well, just going in and watching some of these old TV shows like Rockford Files, and looking at the different, Ironside, even, and looking at the different style of cars, and I was like, whoa, it's yeah, talk about
Well, we'll
nostalgia.
see. We might get our old world back once all the third world is kicked out of here.
Oh, I hope
I
so.
wonder what they're gonna do with all the suburbs that'll be empty. I mean, Texas is you're gonna lose a third of your population in Texas.
Yeah. Well, the farms.
Supposedly, I didn't get to it, but this is another super interesting story. But then I have to go. Um, so this guy Dan Proft, he's a really well connected guy, Catholic guy, but he's been on one version or another of conservative talk radio, morning talk radio in Chicago for quite a while. He pointed out that according to people in the know, like reporters and people around City Hall, the mayor there, what's his name, Brandon in Chicago, apparently now has like Hillary did a ambulance, like doctor who follows him at all times, and an ambulance following him because he's having continual nervous breakdowns and has to go to the hospital. And so he just was in the hospital here recently, like last week. And that's probably because everyone's buzzing that Chicago's next.
Uh,
And again, if you want to be cynical, Trump invested a lot of money in that Chicago Trump Tower. And during, you guys probably wouldn't know that, but during COVID, when BLM and Antifa or whatever were running around tearing up cities, almost all that you saw online was within like a 2 or 3 block area around the Trump Tower.
Mm.
And I worked right there. The Trump Tower was 1 block away from me. I watched it as it was being built. And, this is years ago now. Saw the very beginning of that building being bought and all that. And anyway, it's just so weird that this guy, like, it's like they're calling it panic attacks, I guess was the word they use. Panic attacks. That he has a full-time like medical staff now. Because anytime anyone says anything that triggers him, he goes into a total panic attack, and apparently they wrestle him out of public view and I don't know, give him oxygen and calming medication, or I don't know what they do for a panic attack, but this is like a thing for real. And Dan Proft doesn't make up crap. It's probably totally real. Imagine what's going to happen if Trump invades Chicago. I'll tell you right now, I mean, I haven't been there in 12, probably 15 years. I don't know anyone that lives there anymore. The whole city must be 100% migrants almost.
Probably is.
It's going to empty it out. The real estate there is going to go drop to just rock bottom. It's just like you can't imagine it. They're going to have to knock down the city. Nobody lives there anymore. It blows my mind when I think about this stuff.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah, but
And
imagine.
Texas is going to be the same way.
Oh gosh, don't get me started on what they're doing to Texas. They're moving Hollywood into Texas. I mean, there's like 2 or 3 studios being built in Texas. TV, movie studios, production studios are moving to Texas. I'm like, what? It's like they're getting rid of the California studios and invading Texas. It's like, great. And it's like, just as we're. Gruesome Newsom is just so idiotic, and once they get rid of Karen Bass and Newsom, it's just. Boy.
Because if you live in an area like Austin or Chicago, I mean, for like the last 20, 30 years, they just kept building more and more suburbs. And you're thinking to yourself, well, I read all the time about how our birth rate's so low and we're not replacing ourselves. Yet you're building all these freaking Mick suburbs with these stupid gated community garbage. And you're like, well, who's moving into all the houses these gated community people are leaving behind? Why do we need all this housing? Who are these people?
I
And
can.
now we know why.
It's the
It's
foreigners.
like,
It's the foreigners, and because what they're doing, and they're shoving everybody else into these multi-family homes, like the apartment buildings. I'm seeing like 2 or 3 multi-family homes. Oh gosh, being built here in just where we're living now in California, and because all these people with money are coming in and taking the gated communities. These foreign powers or these foreign entities.
it's, and I've recently come to believe it's even worse than that. They're building the houses not because people want to live in the houses. They're building the houses so freaking Chinese
Mm-hmm.
quadrillion zillion billionaires have
Yep.
somewhere to park their freaking money.
Yep.
I mean, these suburbs that are 60 miles out from Chicago, what the heck? Like, who's even going to live there? It's just insanity. I'm like, we would drive and drive and drive, and we're like way, way outside of Chicago. And you would still, I mean, first of all, Illinois was dead even then. The boom was over. I'm like, who is moving into these houses? I don't think anybody was moving into them. They were zombie investment properties. That's what I think.
Well, and they're going to the illegal. My cousin lives. My dad grew up the town. My dad. It was a rural town. It was a farming community, and my cousin. I talked to my cousin a few months ago, and she was talking about how all the illegals were coming in, and they're putting them up in these like uh, manufactured homes, and no one, of course, no one, everybody wants to get along. They don't want to fight against it, but this this town, it was basically my family's town, I guess you could say. My family had a lot of influence in the town, and this rural community, like 45 minutes away from Austin, and that's what they're doing with it. It's not just that these Chinese foreign investors are coming in; as they were giving it to the illegals too, and I think I shared. I don't know if I shared it with you or not, but I've shared it on PSV before when I worked with an real estate agency, with a real estate agent in Corpus. I One of the things we had to do were CMAs, which are uh, cost marketing analysis, and we go out and depended on what it was for, we'd go do these pictures. I do these pictures of a house, and there's a big old brand new house, and I didn't think anything of it at a time. But this house, it was like 4 or 5 bedroom, 2-story house, and there were people living in nooks and crannies, and it wasn't just the bedrooms that were being taken over. Now I'm wondering if it wasn't either a illegals or if it was not a trafficking house. Now that I know what the traffickers were doing, because that's what they do. Is
Oh
they
yeah, they're all over this town. And I mean, I've talked about Chicago with full of Chinese where you'd look in the window, there'd be propane cooking things and then like 100 sleeping bags in the living room with propane cooking things next to each sleeping bag. Oh, that's safe in Chicago. Yeah, that's a real thing. Anyway, I better get going here. Yeah, when all housing prices, I think are gonna, if you're like selling or buying, don't take my advice because I'm just an idiot. But it seems to me if you get rid of, they're trying to do the math this week. Trump was throwing numbers out. You're like, eh? Uh, when you add the numbers together from different things people have said, the visa, expired visas plus the illegals, student visas, and then you compare it to voter rolls and other things, it's a third of our population.
yeah.
I was telling my mom the other morning that's roughly equivalent to the complete societal change that occurred when about a half to a third of the population died in Europe from the Black Death. You had whole towns where no one lived there anymore. You had jobs, like the elite were treating their peasants like gold because there were not enough blacksmiths and, you name it to go around. And that's because a third of the population that was there one day was gone the next.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
so I'm like, this is going to be, you want to talk about the golden age. If you have any skills whatsoever, if a third of the population's gone, I don't care about AI. Uh, they're not going to replace a third of people with AI.
yeah.
So, is that what he's talking about with this golden age stuff? He seemed to like to talk about what was it, 1919 a lot with the Spanish flu. That's another massive die off nobody
Mm-hmm.
talks about. That totally changed the job market and everything else. I could go look at your family tree. You're gonna have whole branches of your family tree disappear during the Spanish flu. Whole households, the parents and all the children, and just whole branches of people's family tree dead. So that caused a lot of societal change too. So it's exciting times, I'll tell you.
Well, did you?
Well,
Okay, I know you got to go, but did you see that there was something came out? There was I didn't open it up, but because I'm like, oh, fear mongering, but they were talking about there was the Black Plague coming coming our way. They're talking about the Plague again. It's like, and so
Somebody had it in it's always Texas. I can't remember if it was Texas or Colorado. I mean, the plague is a thing still.
yeah, but the narrative is, of course, they're trying to bring up the past about how it wiped out Europe and things like that. So it's the fear
Oh yeah.
mongering. It's the my thing is the fear mongering. It's like, okay, go get treated. Go get treated for it, and or like they were saying the
Right, but I mean, a lot of exotics.
it's like they were talking about the measles. They're trying to say the measles were coming back. I think only 3 people died of the measles at the time, and they were trying to say measles were coming back. I'm sure they're coming back, but measles can be treated. They still have treatment for measles.
I pretty much don't believe any medical news that's related to something you can get vaccinated for. Basically, that's my cutoff. I'm like, is this something that there's a vaccine or they're developing a vaccine for? So I type in whatever it is, and then I type in the word like vaccination. And if something comes up, I completely ignore the article.
Right.
So, but if it's something that's nothing comes up related to a upcoming or new medication or vaccine, then I pay attention to it. I'm like, well, no one's making money off this. Why are they writing about something no one makes money off of?
Right. Right.
I figure there must be a reason they're writing it. So,
Yeah, I hear you.
so yeah, I mean the plague. I think. I mean, in recent times, I think every single year we've read about the plague. I just don't really report on health stuff anymore. I had enough of the health stuff. At this point, it's kind of like, all right, if you're going to hit me with something and I'm going to die, there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm not going to get depressed about it in the meantime. So
I mean,
it's
yeah,
like,
really, go live your life.
yeah, I just don't go there anymore. I was always kind of a hypochondriac anyway. So I don't really like worrying about stuff like that, so I just avoid it. But yeah, I mean the plague thing's a real thing, and that measles thing again. That that lasted as long as them trying to keep RFK Jr. out of his government role, and once that ended, oh, magically no one talked about the measles anymore. So
Right. Well,
that's just so obvious. It's not even funny.
and did you see that Ghislaine Maxwell brought in RFK Jr. on her what's it, her deposition or whatever it is, her testimony too. So,
Right.
so
I mean,
now,
if you're a shakedown artist grifters, the first thing you're going to do is hit the Kennedys. I mean, some of those Kennedys, to me, they're missing a little up in the head. It's probably pretty easy to shake them down for some money. They're the kind of people who would have actually bought into, remember when you contribute to Ghislaine's ocean thing? You got like a property in the ocean or whatever. I mean, some of those Kennedys seem so wackadoodle. They'd probably be the first ones to open up their checkbook and write a check for something pie in the sky and retarded like that. So I'd be trying to, if I was a grifter, the Kennedys would be on my list 100% to try to shake them down.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, really. I mean, the royal family, too. Some of them seem a little dippy. These elite educations leave something to be desired, really, in the common sense department.
yeah, yeah, it is.
So, all All right. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your show.
Well, thanks. Hey, thanks for sticking around and talking and just having a. I like chit chatting. It's a lot. Sometimes it's just a lot easier to chit chat than to come up with an article people might be interested in.
Yep, that's for sure.
So.
All right. Well, I will see y'all tomorrow then, 9 a.m. Eastern. And
Okay.
I hope y'all have a good evening.
All right. Thanks a
See
lot,
you
Erin.
later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Hi. Bye. Hey, everybody. This is On a Wing and a Prayer, seen on Patriots Soapbox. Thursday mornings, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern. And uh, there's so much happened since the last time we met that um, I don't know. I don't know if Dano will be on. I know he had asked people, said he needed to step away a few weeks ago. So I don't know what's happened with him. I said I would expand my show for another hour. So I will find out, right? So in the meantime.
When there is a resurgence of oppression, only you, Lord Jesus Christ, can anoint him to have victory over your name.
Okay. Oh goodness. I hope. Hold on a second. So many things are going on. Boy, it's been such a long time. It's been what, 2 weeks? It seems so long, and I just want to say welcome. And let me see what the. Oh. All right, hold on. D Live. And I want to say thank you to Crafty Fox for putting out my PayPal account. I appreciate it. And Vaughn. And let's see. Let me go back and I lost all the people. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. I saw Texas Freedom Road, Rock and Roll, Real Praying Mantis. Who else said that they put a one? Those are the ones I saw. Kelly, and Kelly Gazin, and I saw some other. I'm sorry, I missed all your ones. For those that put your ones, so I appreciate you listening or being here. Thank you for being here. So I want to start off with something kind of fun tonight because I give you context. This is my grandson's football game. They had like I said, I was talking about. Hey, Alan, I was talking about a jamboree, right? So they had the football jamboree, and to get it, so you understand, they're only playing 40 yards. So they're only like playing on half a football field. And with the half a football field, they switch sides. So I don't get how they score, but uh, they do switch sides. So here, this is the dark. This is the opposition. All these little ones and these boys in the blue, these are their defense. The other group is the offense. So hopefully I can. So, yeah. Let's try to sit down. Low resources. The internet is unstable. So I wanted. Okay, I'm gonna slow it down. Let's see. Alright. So this is my grandson right here. I'm not a proud grandma, right? That's him. So watch him. This is him. This is my grandson. So here's the offense. He's defense. Look at, here's the ball. I don't know if you can see the ball. There's the ball. See, did you see it? See, if I can go back. Okay, let me see if this works. No. So watch this kid. I think I missed it. They hit each other, so that was the point. They hit each other. So my grandson got the interception. Here's the ball right here, but he held on to it. So yeah. So they collided. Can I enlarge it? I can't. I don't. Maybe I can. Full screen. That's about as full as I'm going to get it. Let me see. So. He kept it. He kept it. He kept it. But that was a good thing. So, all right, let's see if I can do it full, and I'll try to stop it. But I'm just off the show hand, right? I know it's not very clear, but anyway. So, and I don't know, has anybody seen this? So let me see if I can get this up. So I kind of want to start with this. All right. Let me see. I gotta try to get these videos when you're least expected. Alright. Share. Sound. Alright. Alright. Here we go. I hope y'all enjoy this. That's what was so neat. It's like, if anybody's seen that. Yeah. So I just, gosh, who doesn't like a rendition of YMCA, you know? Who doesn't like that? Alright, so where do we go from here? There's so much we can talk about. That I talk about is, oops, the new map. You know, I noticed this a couple of weeks ago when they were talking about the map, the Texas map. So, oh, come on. So, I looked at this. Let's see, they're talking about the existing map and then the proposal map, and I'm looking at this, and you see the blue here, and I'm looking at, there's not that big difference if you look at the map itself, because I still see this little weird shape here. You got this little weird shape here. So here's the different, the color scheme, I guess you could say. So everything is pretty much the same except up by the border. If you could do a comparison side by side, but you just, this I don't understand. You got this little pocket right here. So is this going to be its own district, and then you have this little pocket right here? Well, no, I guess not. I guess not. Never mind. But, you know, I just wanted to compare the different maps. When the Democrats left for, I'm sure they left for what, Illinois, and you saw the map and they had this really weird shape, you know? So you still, but, okay, I guess this is the part that really, I mean, what kind of shape? This is a weird shape right here. Yeah, the South Texas, I mean, South Texas is getting to be more down in the valley, down this region closer to the Mexican border. They're getting some really good, I believe, Republican patriots out there. So. So we have this. We have this map, and the crying Democrats. You know, of course, we have this little bitty piece here that's out in the border. I think this is El Paso. No, well, is it? Yeah, because we went through El Paso when we moved to California. But then you have the little bitty. Those must be the county lines, county seats. But it's really interesting that you have this here. So I guess this is Jasmine Crockett. And someone, I know, I can't remember who it is, but someone went in and investigated Jasmine Crockett and her. And, you know, they did the door to door, and the people, they were coming in, Jasmine Crockett was installed. We know. Jasmine Crockett was like the others, like AOC. Uh, I should give up Texas. I. It's hard to give up your home state. I'm a fourth generation Texan. I was born in Texas. My family settled over in this area of Texas. And I mean, it's hard to give up your Texan, and I'm in California now, so it just makes it difficult. So, if you want high costs, don't move to Texas. They could nail you with property taxes. I know they're trying to get rid of it, but my whole thing with Texas is Abbott. Abbott is, I don't know. He plays a dirty game. He's playing games. He gives the people. All right, so we have 15 Democrats arrested for election fraud. It came out on August the 10th. So in rural South Texas, prosecutors have brought forward one of the most significant vote harvesting cases in recent state history. So on May the 1st of 2025, a Frio County grand jury indicted 6 people, including multiple public officials, on felony election fraud charges. The indictment secured after a 2-year investigation led by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's office exposed an organized ballot harvesting operation that allegedly influenced multiple local races in a heavily Democratic region. Among those charged were Frio County judges. So I think that there isn't anything happening. I mean, it's important. It's not just important for us to get the um, it's not just important for us to clean up the federal races. It's important to do the local races too, and the county races. So let's see. So among those charged were Frio County Judge Rochelle Camacho, who faces 3 counts of vote harvesting; a former Frio County Elections Administrator Carlos Segura, charged with tampering with physical evidence; Pearsall City Council members Ramiro Trevino and Raquel Garza; Pearsall ISD trustee Adrian Ramirez, who is Camacho's sister; and Rosa Rodriguez, identified as an alleged ballot harvester. State investigators say the same scheme targeted elderly residents and those voting by mail, with ballots collected in violation of Texas election laws. So remember the Democrats when they left in 2021 because of the election laws and nothing happened there? Just like this time around? Under Texas's 2021 election integrity reforms, compensated ballot collection carries a penalty of up to 10 years in prison and a $10 fine. The arrest did not occur in isolation. In August 2024, Paxton's Criminal Investigations Division executed search warrants in Frio, Bexar, and Atascosa counties, seizing evidence connected to what the Attorney General's office described as an, quote, illegal ballot harvesting ring. The warrants were the culmination of years of complaints from local residents. So, see, what do we say? It takes each individual, the local residents, who claim political operatives were systematically collecting and manipulating mail-in ballots. Investigators believe the operation was linked to a political network that benefited multiple Democrat candidates in local races. The investigation expanded in mid 2025. On June the 30th, 2025, a second grand jury returned indictments against 9 additional individuals, bringing the total number of defendants to 15. Among the newly charged was former Texas House candidate Cecilia Castellano, a Democrat, as well as a former Bexar County Democrat Party Chair Juan Manuel Medina. Other defendants include current and former city officials, school board members, and county commissioners across Frio County. The charges range from vote harvesting to tampering with government records, all tied to the same alleged coordinated ballot collection network. Court filings reviewed in the case describe how vote harvesters allegedly approached voters, particularly the elderly, under the pretext of offering assistance, then took possession of ballots before they were mailed. In some instances, investigators say those involved exchanged cash or electronic payments via apps like Cash App to secure ballots or voter information. Under Texas law, offering or accepting compensation for ballot collection is a third-degree felony. Now that I'm talking about this Cash App, remember when Biden wanted everybody to, you had to record if you had used one of these apps and you had $600? I wonder if that had a play into anything. I think that's it. Despite the scale of the operation and the number of public officials implicated, the national Democrats and prominent state level Democrats have been almost entirely silent. Of course, they would be entirely silent. Why would they want to admit they've been caught? Right? That way they can't point the fingers at what Republicans. They can't say it's a conspiracy, that there's no such thing as election fraud. Yep, Bexar County is in San Antonio. Yeah, I don't do X either. I'm reading. I'm reading chat. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I have come to the conclusion I cannot do live recording. It just, I'm okay if I just read, but if I want to run any kind of videos, I can't do live streaming on Rumble. But I do want to thank those that have joined me on some of my Bible studies. I know I don't have a set schedule, so it makes it difficult to catch me all the time, but it's nice if you ever get a chance and catch me on one of my Bible studies, and if you want to, just join the chat room and let me know. Just let me know you're there. I try to acknowledge anybody who's there. If you have your name, if you're using your real name, I try not to use your real name. So anyway, to conclude not to conclude. So for years, Democrats have claimed that voter fraud in Texas is virtually non-existent. Isn't that just what I got through saying? Yet here, in a single rural county, a 2-year probe has resulted in 15 criminal indictments, including against a sitting county judge, multiple city council members, and school district officials. Texas law treats chain of custody breaches and compensated ballot collection and tampering with election records as a serious offenses for a reason. Mail-in ballots are especially vulnerable to exploitation when voter identities, ballot custody, and submission procedures are not strict. excuse me, not strictly protected. The Frio County case demonstrates how easily those protections can be circumvented when officials themselves are involved in breaking the law. Election integrity is not a partisan issue, but the refusal of Democrats to address this case underscore a broader double standard. When allegations involve Republicans, Democrats demand full investigations, resignations, and sweeping reforms. When the accused are Democrats, especially in regions critical to their electoral strategy, silence prevails. Yep, I mean, it's all about the hypocrisy, right? People like they want to point fingers, but yet they don't want to take responsibility for their own actions. It could be my fan, King's Kid. Maybe you may be hearing a fan. The We've had a heat wave. We've been having a heat wave. It got into the 90s the last couple of days, and I tell you what, not having an air conditioner, all I have is a fan. I think it's not just the heat that was bothering me; it's the humidity. I mean, I could not get cool for the last several days. It was so hot. But today I think heat wave is going away. You're going through. So those say nothing's happening. I think what we're seeing the mid-level. It's not the man on the street, the crooks on there, the what do you call them? Oh, Joe Blow, the consumer. We're starting to see actual government officials, even if it is level. So the indictments, how can I put it? We're starting to roll up. You know, uh, it's being exposed. It's not just of course we want to see the big fish, but we're still getting we moved from the guppies to the hammerheads, right? The shark, not the sharks, but the let's see what tuna. You want to call it tuna or the no, I don't want to. Dolphins are too neat. They're not the whales. But what would you say would be a mid-level? I'm gonna put this down. Do, do, do. Sand sharks? Okay, I'll go with sand sharks. So we're getting the mid-level, the sand shark level, right? We're not getting the guppies. We're not getting the tetras. We're moving on. We're moving up. So we're seeing these levels. Sardines is yeah, I agree. The salty sardines. We're catching the hammerheads. So let me see. Let me see. The hammerheads. And if anybody wants to help support, and then if anybody wants to help. So if you are just now joining us, welcome. I am Deb65, and this is On a Wing and a Prayer, seen on Patriots Soapbox, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern, and now expanding on Saturdays from expanding Saturdays from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. So adjust for your time zone. So appreciate you. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody who's helped me, help support, help me, just help be a nice prayer. Any way you help, that's great. Yeah, our anchovies are yuck too. Anchovies is on the same level as Vienna sausages. I used to eat Vienna sausages as a kid, but I got sick. I ate too many one time and I got sick. So this came out on August the 11th. So former Orange County Supervisor Andrew what a name, must repay the government over $878,000. And I did put this in on a Thursday morning one. So this is out of Santa Ana, California. So a federal judge in Santa Ana, this is California, ruled Monday that former Orange County Supervisor Andrew Dew owes the government $878,230.80 for his conviction in a bribery scheme. So you think any of that money? Think about that. If they owe the federal government that much, that will pay down some of the deficit and the debt. Although I can't help but wonder if the debt really is a false debt. Because I mentioned it with Dano and I talked about it about a month ago, about is this debt really real? So Dew, who was federal prosecutors and defense attorneys agreed in court papers filed last month that Dew should have to pay between $800,000 to just over $878,000 in restitution for his bribery scheme. County officials filed a motion seeking $10.2 million, the full amount of money granted to the nonprofit accused in the scheme. Dew, who was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison in June, is expected to begin serving his term Friday. So he should be already in jail by now, because this was the 11th. So we're looking at 12 days ago. So or 2 weeks ago maybe. But this came out on the 11th. So it would have been a week ago. Faced a restitution hearing Monday before the U.S. District Judge James Selna to determine how much the defendant owed the government. Dew did not appear at the hearing, as there was an agreement beforehand that he could skip it, but Selna delayed a ruling on the hearing so his attorneys could put it in writing. Federal prosecutors argued that Dew should repay $868,612 for the money he and his family took in the scheme, plus $9,618.80 in legal fees for the county. Dew's attorneys argued their client should repay at most $802,692, receiving credit for some of the works Dew's daughter. This is where it gets complicated, right? Rhiannon did for the Viet America Society, the of the Bribes. Kevin Dunn, an attorney representing the county, argued that Dew should have foreseen that the contracts for which he got kickbacks would not be executed legally. Dunn said Dew, a former state prosecutor and public defender, as well as an elected leader. Isn't that the case? Isn't that special? Is that not a surprise? Should have understood that the federal grant money would not be spent on its intended purpose. But Selna said it was significant to me that Dew only pleaded to conspiracy, which would limit his liability in the scheme. That's a strong fact, Selna said. The court's ruling says it all, Dew's attorney Paul Meyer told reporters after the hearing. Dew must pay $250,000 or $250,000 within 30 days, and then pay $1,000 monthly after his release from prison. So where's he going to get the money? So he has 5 years, right? He doesn't have to start paying the rest of it till after he gets out of prison in 5 years, and or maybe less if they give him probation, right? Okay, fine. There's more to the story. Oh, prosecutors largely agreed with Dew's attorneys, although they quibbled over whether his daughter should receive credit for work done for the nonprofit. Well, okay. First of all, his daughter has not been charged as of yet for anything, so it shouldn't be his credit, because his daughter, so that should be irrelevant. In this case, defendant used his position as supervisor for the county of Orange to steer millions of dollars in contracts to his co-conspirators in exchange for more than $500,000 in bribes. From 2021, who was president from 2021 to 2023? Defendant steered and voted in favor of more than $10 million worth of county contracts and grants to his co-conspirators' organizations, including Viet America Society, a nonprofit that was supposed to provide meal services to the elderly and disabled, among other services. Ooh, yes. County Supervisor Janet Newen issued a statement following the ruling. I'm disappointed in the judge's ruling. However, there is a process to obtain $5 million in funds seized from bank accounts in the sales of homes belonging to Andrew Dew's daughter and business associated with his scheme, Newen said. We will work with the U.S. Attorney to obtain these funds to return back from. Rhiannon Dew will be placed in a diversion program as part of her father's plea deal. So he had to make a plea for her. She was paid $8,000 monthly between September 2021 and February 2024 for a total of $224,000, prosecutors said. So in July 2023, $381,500 from the society was put in escrow so Rhiannon Dew could buy a $1.035 million house in Tustin. Prosecutor said his other daughter Eileen received $100,000 in October of 2022. Prosecutor said, "I tell you what, when you don't have income coming in, $100,000 does not last." It lasts maybe depending on how conservative you are in your money and how much you don't spend. It might last you 4 years if you don't have anything major to pay for. Viet America Society did not provide the meals to elderly and disabled residents as it had promised, prosecutors said. The nonprofit also used the bribes to buy a commercial property, pay co-conspirators, and transfer money to other companies affiliated with Viet America Society. Right? And the co-conspirators, the prosecutor said. Of the approximately $9.3 million that the county said paid to Viet America Society, the nonprofit only spent about 15%, or $1.4 million on providing meals, prosecutors said. Prosecutors objected to giving credit to Rhiannon due for her work for the nonprofit. Due, quote, previously argued this amount was not fully a bribe, but partially included actual work Rhiannon performed. This argued defied they were. So prosecutors said some of the money was used to help Rhiannon do buy the house. Prosecutors noted she was a full-time student, had virtually no prior experience in mental health, and was making nearly six-figure annual salary to run a company funded entirely by her father's corruption. Defendant lauded his daughter's hard work, but his prior submissions to the court justifying her executive-sized salary include one-page flyers and a 91-word outline document, which he characterizes as her delivering an app. Yeah, that probably was an AI-generated document too. Also, prosecutors noted she shouldn't benefit because her job was merely a front used to funnel bribe payments to defendant. Du's attorneys argued there is no evidence that he was aware of the overall scheme. There is no denying that Mr. Du's conduct in accepting bribes was shameful and a betrayal of his constituents, his attorneys wrote in court papers. As reprehensible as his conduct was, there is no evidence he knew about the broader scheme. Accordingly, Mr. Du now stands convicted of conspiracy to commit bribery, not to the broader conspiracy to commit fraud and essentially steal approximately $10 million by failing to provide contracted for services, and has immediately admitted receiving between $550,000 or $500,000 and $730,500, subject to an increase if additional receipts are found in bribes. So they're still looking for paperwork, it looks like. The defense attorneys noted that in the indictment of the co-conspirators Peter An Pham and Than Hong Nguyen, there were no allegations or evidence that Du knew Mr. Pham and others failed to perform the contracted for services were stealing millions. The only overt acts in the indictment for which Andrew Du is responsible are related to the house payment and steering the contracts to Peter Pham. Defense attorneys also noted that the house in Tustin has been forfeited to the government and that the sale of it should offset any amount of restitution order. Remember, was it one of the executive orders that have to do with seizing assets and going back to the coffers? Du's attorney says his daughter did significant work for Warner Wellness Center, and it would in fact violate California law for her to work for approximately 17 months with no compensation, assuming she has earned at least the fast food minimum wage of $20 per hour. She earned no less than $65,920, bringing the final restitution number to $802,692,000. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. $802,692,000. Man, it's hard. Sometimes my eyes and my brain don't connect. The attorney says that Rhiannon Du drafted human resources and company manuals, interviewed and hired staff, including vetting a doctor, multiple clinicians, and contracts, as well as researching regulations for hiring clinicians from Vietnam. You think this is another way of illegals to come in? You know, another way for bribing illegals to come into the country? They also say she worked with food scientists to prepare appropriate menus for seniors and conducted lab testing on nutritional values. Sorry, that background noise. Andrew Du has a limited ability to pay restitution, his attorney says. Well, maybe he shouldn't have been stealing in the first place. The county's attorneys argued that the restitution amount agreed to in the plea agreement does not apply to the county because the district attorney acts as a state official, not a county official, when prosecuting criminal violations. Oh, so it sounds like they're going to try to get this guy on more than one way. County officials argued that Du admitted steering more. Let's see, wait a minute, hold on. The prosecution of Du was done by federal and Orange County prosecutors. County officials argued that Du admitted steering more than $10 million in federal and county C-19 relief funds to Viet America Society, and that it was done in exchange for kickbacks, which he understood were funded by the county monies that were supposed to be used to pay for the services that were to be provided. Du's attorneys countered that the county's argument turns on the untenable claim that Mr. Du should have foreseen that Peter Pham and others would defraud the county by providing only $1.4 million in the contracted for services. So there you go. There you go. So how about that, everybody? So, and this is such a great video. I just thought, oh wow, this explains it, and this article I just read goes along with it just so perfectly. Okay.
Just use an earthquake. But let's say you stole a of tax money to hide this wheel. Just charity as a cover-up. Won't people anything? They won't because to steal the crisis. Earthquake or war golden opportunity. Set up an announcement. What do I do? The government and the start money. It's time to spend. Will people? No. Who wants to do it? We'll fake it's dead. What? That work. Look, let's say you report that you're down meals to discuss. In reality, you only delay that. Meals exist only on paper. Goes around. Notice the missing supplies. What do you mean? Instead of stealing higher supply cost dollars, $5,000. A bottle of water is purchased for $50 each. $500 generator is reports $20,000 emergency energy. All that money goes to you. Won't the public money? They will do a little bit. Hand out food and supply whatever he's done. We'll crew and tell them we're saving exactly now. By then, money is already gone. We move through. We blame it on accounting mistakes or say we were tricked by. Worst case, we shut down the charity and just start a new one. It's that easy. We launched fake charity.
Uh-oh. Let me... Hold on. Whoop. So... Alright. So this video does not add... Oh, great. It just went out. Wow. Anyway, this video did not advocate for unlawful acts, but doesn't it make sense? I mean, we see that over and over again. The California fires, the Maui fires, the Colorado fire. I mean, how many? The flood. Remember the floods in Texas? The hurricanes. You know, they come up with those charities, and I don't know if you guys, I can't remember if I did, if I did it here or if it was on my Thursday morning show, but I just, there was what's her face, not Talib, yeah, Ilian Arms as part of this is a Somalian charity that they got busted. They got busted. It was, I can't remember, it was feed the something. I can't remember the name of it, and I didn't keep the link, so I guess if not, I was having a hard So, did you see this about Ingrid Lewis Martin newly indicted for accepting more than $75,000 of bribes in wide-ranging conspiracies? This came out August the 21st. This is actually the DA of New York. Everybody, this is a big deal. This is Manhattan District Attorney. Yeah, I agree, Praying Mantis. So, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin L. Bragg Jr. and Department of Investigation Commissioner Jocelyn E. Strawber today announced the indictment of Ingrid Lewis Martin for accepting more than $75,000 in bribes, including $50,000 in cash directed to her son's account. They always move it to a family member, usually a child, sometimes a husband, sometimes a cousin. So if they figure if they put it into a family member's account, then hey, you can't do anything, right? So including $5,000 in cash directed to her son's account in a wide-ranging series of bribery conspiracies between March 2022 and November 2024. Again, who was the president of, or the how can I put it? The narrative of the president, while serving as chief advisor to the mayor of the city of New York. Interesting. Does she have anything to do with going after President Trump? That's the question I have. The alleged conspiracies impacted several different city agencies. In December 2024, Lewis Martin was charged by the office for an alleged bribery conspiracy totaling more than $100,000. The multi-year investigation alleges across 5 indictments that Lewis Martin accepted more than $175,000 in bribes and other additional personal benefits. Lewis Martin is newly charged in 4 separate conspiracy indictments with 8 other co-defendants. Ooh, this ought to be fun. So, indictment 73755. Lewis Martin and her son Glenn Martin, aka Suave Luciano, allegedly conspired to steer city contracts for asylum seeker shelter cities or sites for preferred property owners and to help fast track permit approvals for a karaoke bar in Queens. In exchange, Martin II allegedly received $50,000 cash payment into his account diverted from a city contract and other benefits. Isn't it interesting? Has anybody noticed a pattern? It's always about the land, the property. It seems like it's always about property. That reminds me of a story in the Bible, with Ahab and Jezebel. Indictment 73751. Lewis Martin allegedly conspired to have the New York City Department of Transportation, or NYC withdraw its approval for a street redesign of McGinnis Boulevard in Brooklyn, which would have included new protected bike lanes. In exchange, Lewis Martin allegedly received $2,500 payment and other personal benefits, including a speaking role on a TV show and thousands of dollars of catering for an event at Gracie Mansion. Indictment 73754. Lewis Martin II, and Deputy Commissioner for Real Estate Services at the New York City Department of Citywide Administrative Services, Jesse Hamilton, allegedly conspired to fast-track development projects and steer city contracts on behalf of a co-defendant in exchange for renovations for their homes. Indictment 73752. Lewis Martin allegedly conspired to obtain approval for a residential renovation project in exchange for thousands of dollars of catering for events at Gracie Mansion and City Hall. Lewis Martin is charged with 4 counts of conspiracy in the 4th degree and 4 counts of bribe receiving in the 2nd degree. Martin II is charged with 2 counts of conspiracy in the 4th degree and 2 counts of bribe receiving in the 2nd degree. Hamilton is charged with 1 count of conspiracy in the 4th degree. The other 6 defendants are charged with either 1 count of conspiracy in the 4th degree and 1 count of bribery in the 2nd degree. The uncharged individuals named or referenced in the indictments are not targets of the continued ongoing investigation and are not accused of participating in any of the charged conduct. We allege that Ingrid Lewis Martin engaged in classic bribery conspiracies that had a deep and wide city-ranging impact on city government, said District Attorney Bragg. As alleged, Lewis Martin consistently overrode the expertise of public servants so she could line her own pockets. So I have a question. Is she being thrown under the bus? Or, is she just being thrown under the bus, or are they, wow. Oh, okay. I got distracted. I'll see what I can do about that, P Dizzle. I'll see. I can't believe we're, like I said, we have less than 30 minutes now. Um, so do you think she's being thrown under the bus? I mean, she's been doing this for 2, 3 years now, and they're coming out and they're indicting her. Is it because they're trying to? Yeah, I agree, but it's still bribery. So no matter how you do it, it's kind of on par with Letitia James, right? Oh, Tishy. As alleged, Lewis Martin consistently overrode the expertise of public servants so she could line her own pockets, while she allegedly received more than $75,000 in bribes and an appearance on a TV show. Every other New Yorker lost out. Hard-working city employees were undermined. Businesses and developers who followed the law were pushed aside, and the public was victimized by corruption at the highest levels of government. New Yorkers, New Yorkers, I lost my place. New Yorkers are fortunate to be served by thousands of hard-working city employees who embody the dignity of public service. And I thank our prosecutors and investigators for their commitment to unraveling these alleged conspiracies, and the Department of Investigations for its outstanding partnership on this ongoing matter. So, DOI Commissioner Jocelyn E. Straub said New York City officials and employees have a duty to serve the public fairly and equitably, and the vast majority fulfill that sacred responsibility each and every day. Today's indictments, however, allege that the mayor's former chief advisor, at times in concert, who's the mayor? Who's the mayor of New York City? Is that Hochul, whatever her name is, or is that she governor? I get them mixed up. Yeah, I agree. She's a smokescreen. She's guilty, but bigger fish is out there. Like I said, we're rolling up the, you know, we're no longer after the guppies. We're going after the hammerhead sharks or the swordfish, whatever. Uh, So today's indictments, however, allege that the mayor's former chief advisor, at times in concert with the deputy commissioner for real estate services in the Department of Citywide Administrative Services, repeatedly and persistently abused her senior government position to enrich herself and her family. As charged, Ingrid Lewis Martin influenced city agency decision making in a wide range of areas, from construction to street design, to serve the interest of co-defendants who paid her bribes. Those bribes included an alleged over $50,000 in cash, home renovations, catering for Gracie Mansion events, and a personal appearance in a TV series. And in light of today's charges, DOI is notifying the relevant agencies and requesting a review of the permits and design determinations described in the indictments, so that each agency can review these decisions free of any improper influence. This investigation is ongoing, and city employees and members of the public who suspect fraud or corruption may report it to DOI at blah blah blah. So, according to the court documents and statement made on the record, Lewis Martin allegedly directed City Hall and DCAS to steer contracts for asylum seekers shelters. Asylum seekers. Yeah. Is that code for something else? To developer G. Lee's preferred property owners. As part of the arrangement with the property owners, Lee would allegedly receive 10% from the contract. In February 2023, one of Lee's associates entered the New York City Hall and Hospitals Corporation agreement to provide housing for asylum seekers. Lee received $1.2 million from the contract. Lee then allegedly transferred some of the money he received from the HHC contract to his business, V Show Inc. or V Show. V Show then allegedly wired $50,000 to Martin II's business account. Lewis Martin pushed to have the HHC agreement renewed or picked up by another agency. Lewis Martin allegedly contacted and urged high-ranking officials from City Hall, the Office of Asylum Seeker Operations, DCAS, the New York City Department of Social Services, and the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice to ensure shelter services contracts for Lee's preferred property owner. Okay, Hochul is the governor. I don't remember who the mayor is. Is it Adams? Okay, Eric Adams. That's right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, chat. Appreciate it. Sometimes these there's so many people's names that makes my head spin. Let's see. Let's see. Social Services, Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice to secure shelter services contracts for Lee's preferred property owner. In one instance, she called Hamilton, who is charged in a separate indictment, and said, I need those duns. Whatever site TJ wants, I need him to get them because that's our F people. Yeah, I'll leave it to your imagination what she said. By August 2024, Lee and his representatives were allegedly communicating directly with Hamilton about securing a contract to provide shelter services at a second hotel for the preferred property owner. When a City Hall employee flagged an issue with the site, Lewis Martin pushed back and said in a conference call, move that, I'm assuming it's SHIT, forward unless the mayor tells us otherwise. So she's does this mean she's dragging the mayor into everything? I thought he was kind of mellowing, he's starting to kind of, he's kind of on the hot seat. In September 2024, Lewis Martin, Lee Hamilton, and others took a personal trip together to Japan. How about that? Personal trip to Japan. During the return flight on September the 27th, 2024, Lee deleted text messages in his phone between him and Lewis Martin, and between him and Hamilton. Search warrants for cell phones belonging to Lewis Martin, Lee Martin II, and Hamilton were executed the same day. In November 2024, after a more substantive review by career public servants with relevant expertise, it sounds like maybe it was a Doge type servant, right? The second hotel was removed from consideration. So I'm assuming that these were people. I could be reading this wrong. I'm assuming that meant that these people were looking into the text messages and trying to find the text messages. Additionally, starting in October 2022, Lewis Martin allegedly helped fast-track New York City Department of Building and New York City Fire Department approval for V Show, a karaoke bar being developed by Lee. At one point, Lewis Martin told the FDNY commissioner in text, "This is an 11th hour. I sent this info on a prior occasion. Whoever responded made an error. Please have a different set of eyes review the plan." As a result of Lee Martin's continued pressuring of NY and DOB officials, V Show received the required approvals within an expedited time frame, often weeks ahead of schedule. Martin II allegedly helped Lewis Martin coordinate these conspiracies so she could remain insulated, after often acting as an intermediary between his mother and Lee. Lee also allegedly hosted numerous parties for Lewis Martin at V Show. According to the court documents and statements made on the record between March the 22nd and November 24th, Lewis Martin allegedly interfered with DOT's Department of Transportation plan to redesign and install protected bike lanes on McGinnis Boulevard in Brooklyn, a key road used by Broadway Stages Ltd. Lewis Martin conspired with its owners Gina Argento and Anthony Tony Argento to successfully change DOT's plan. The Argentos generally opposed any plan that would remove lanes of traffic or reduce vehicle traffic around Broadway stages. Lewis Martin designated an employee from the mayor's office to be her representative with DOT, instructed the DOT commissioner that she and individuals should be part of any discussions about DOT's plans for McGinnis Boulevard. Lewis Martin also directed the individual to discuss DOT's plans with the Argentos and in turn to relay their views and concerns to DOT due to her intervention. DOT changed its plan for the redesign of McGinnis Boulevard. Man, they did it all. In exchange, Gina Argento allegedly transferred $2,500 to Lewis Martin's bank account and provided over $10,000 in catering services for a Gracie Mansion event. In addition, the Argentos allegedly secured a speaking role for Lewis Martin on the TV show Godfather of Harlem, which was filmed at Broadway stages. Lewis Martin was paid more than $800 for her appearance in the show, which also made her eligible to join the Screen Actors Guild. My, how about that? Tony Argento also allegedly promised her to be her agent and get her other roles on Godfather of Harlem and the TV series Blue Bloods. Well, guess what? Blue Bloods has been canceled and has been since they finished up their series in November of 2024, or maybe it was the first of the year because they split the 14th season. So Hamilton and Landau indictment. According to court documents and statements on the record, Lewis Martin, Martin II, and Hamilton allegedly conspired to promote and push projects in Red Hook, Brooklyn, and at 1211 Southern Boulevard in the Bronx and in Jamaica, Queens, on behalf of real estate developer Yashiel Landau. Lewis Martin introduced Landau to the Deputy Mayor of Housing, Economic Development, and Workforce and the Commissioner of the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development to assist with the Red Hook project. In one instance, Landau told Lewis Martin and Martin II over Signal, that an HPD representative was giving pushback on the closing date of the project. Lewis Martin later asked the deputy mayor to call her. Lewis Martin also consistently pressured the HPD commissioner to approve the project. I don't know if I want to finish this, but oh my god. I mean, this is just longer. I mean, that's long. But I don't know. Once I get to reading, I just don't like to read headlines. I like to read the whole story because you never know what nuggets are going to come out, right? Let's see. Landau received HPD's consent to buy. This occurred before HPD even had a project manager assigned to work with Landau in preserving the building as affordable housing. So Landau also allegedly sought Lewis Martin's assistance to obtain a city contract for a building located in Jamaica, Queens, owned by one of Landau's business partners. Liz Martin instructed Hamilton use his authority at DCAS to work with Landau and a representative of the Jamaica building to try to secure a leasing agreement for the city to use the building as a shelter for asylum seekers. I'm telling you, I wonder, is that code for something? I'll try. I should be able to. Give me a few minutes. And then here's the whole catering indictment. I'm not going to read all that. Let me get this down because, oh gosh, that was so long. I may not have time for a closer. All right, come on, you. Alright. So she was born in Brooklyn, raised in Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights neighborhood. Her father immigrated from Barbados, and her mom is from New York City but grew up in Panama. So she was a school teacher and an instructor at Medgar College, Evers College. So she volunteered for U.S. Representative Major Owens and served as his campaign manager. So then she got on with his New York State Senate for Adams. So she actually worked with Adams. So on September 27th, in the midst of the investigations into Eric Adams, so I just find this interesting. Federal investigators searched her home and seized her phone, and she was served with a subpoena at JFK when they got back. Let's see, and then this guy wasn't even mentioned in the indictment. Let's see. So she's married to. Here's one. So she's married to Glenn D. Martin, a police officer who trained with Eric Adams. She goes to the Pentecostal church, and she's an ordained chaplain, or either she is or her husband is. No, she is, because she's Lewis Martin. So she's an ordained chaplain. And, she's a member of the Eastern Star. So here's some other pretty interesting nuggets on all that. So I wonder if there's going to be some more on this. So, I wonder if there'll be any more about that. All right. Let me get a video. Let me get a video. Yes. Okay. So.
Who's gonna say the word tonight? Who's gonna bring you back tonight? We're gonna make it you and I. We're gonna say the word tonight.
There was I used to look into my father's eyes, and I was a king, I had a gold throne. Those days are gone, now memories are on the wall. I
Okay, that will take us out, and I see Chris is in the house. Hello, Chris.
What's up, Deb?
How are you?
All right, you?
Best of time.
Yeah.
Alright, go ahead and show it. I'll see you later.
Girl.
Alright, bye. Thank you, Tets.
You're very welcome.
Toots, I called you Tetsy Anima. Toots. Well, I need to listen to videos.